Before we get to the streams, we have to understand Kingdon's inspiration, the garbage can model of organizational choice. Traditional theory says we identify a problem, list solutions, weigh them, and pick the best one. Kingdon says, nonsense. That is not how government works. Instead, he views government as an organized anarchy. It is a garbage can where problems, solutions, and participants are all dumped together. Often, you have solutions waiting for a problem to attach themselves to. Think of a pharmaceutical company that develops a drug and then looks for a disease it might treat. Or a politician who wants to cut taxes and looks for any economic excuse to do so. In this model, chaos is the norm and order is the exception. Let's look at the first stream, the problem stream. This stream is about attention. There are millions of bad conditions in society: poverty, disease, potholes. But a condition only becomes a problem when we decide we can and should do something about it. How does that happen? Usually through three mechanisms. First, indicators. These are the cold, hard numbers. If the unemployment rate jumps or the cost of Medicare doubles, the data screams for attention. Second, focusing events. This is the hurricane, the bridge collapse, or the plane crash. These events pierce the public consciousness and force politicians to look at an issue they were ignoring. Third, feedback. This is when bureaucrats report that a current program is failing, forcing a reevaluation. The second stream is the policy stream. Kingdon describes this as a primeval soup of ideas. Imagine a massive room filled with academics, congressional staffers, and think tank researchers. They are constantly floating ideas: universal basic income, school vouchers, carbon taxes. These ideas float around, bumping into each other, getting revised and combined. This happens largely invisible to the public. For an idea to survive this soup and become a serious contender, it must meet two criteria: technical feasibility, can we actually do it? And value acceptability, does it align with the dominant values of the time? Ideas that are too radical or impossible to implement sink to the bottom of the soup. The third stream is the politics stream. This flows independently of the problems and the policies. This stream is composed of the national mood, public opinion polls, and the turnover of administration. Did the Democrats just take the House? Did the president's approval rating tank? Is the country in a mood for austerity or spending? This stream determines the reception an idea will get. You might have a great solution to a real problem, but if the politics stream is flowing against you, say you want to pass environmental regulation during a recession, you will fail. This stream is all about timing and political capital. Here's the magic. Most of the time, these three streams flow parallel to each other and never touch. Researchers research, politicians campaign, and problems fester. But occasionally, the stars align. A focusing event highlights a problem stream. A viable solution exists in the soup, policy stream, and the political mood is ready to act, politics stream. When these three couple together, we get action. If you have a problem and politics, but no solution, you get gridlock. If you have a solution and politics but no problem, you get a solution looking for an excuse. You need all three to converge to pass major legislation. When the streams couple, a policy window opens. This is a fleeting opportunity to push legislation through. Windows do not stay open long. The public loses interest, the crisis passes, the administration changes. Kingdon identifies two types of windows: predictable windows, like the annual budget cycle or reauthorization of a farm bill, and unpredictable windows opened by crisis. Rahm Emanuel famously said, "You never want a serious crisis to go to waste." He was talking about a policy window. When 9/11s happened, a window opened for national security policy, and the Patriot Act, which had been floating in the policy soup for years, was pushed through in weeks. Who couples the streams? Who spots the window and jumps through it? Kingdon calls this person the policy entrepreneur. This could be a senator, an agency head, or a prominent lobbyist. Like a business entrepreneur invests capital, a policy entrepreneur invests time, reputation, and energy to push their pet proposal. They are the surfers waiting for the big wave. They have the solution ready in their back pocket. When the problem hits the headlines, they rush in and say, "I have the fix." Without a skilled entrepreneur to couple the streams, the window often closes without any action being taken. It is crucial to understand that windows close quickly. Once a bill is passed, even if it is a symbolic dummy bill, the political pressure dissipates. The participants feel they have done something, and they move on to the next fire. Or, if the entrepreneur fails to get the votes quickly, cynicism sets in. People say, "We tried that, it didn't work," and the idea becomes toxic for a decade. Personnel turnover also closes windows. If your champion in the Senate retires or loses an election, your access to the agenda might vanish overnight. Speed is of the essence. Let's apply this to the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. The problem stream was screaming. Costs were bankrupting businesses, and millions were uninsured. The politics stream was perfect. Obama had just won a landslide, and Democrats had a supermajority in the Senate. The national mood was for change. The policy stream provided the solution. The individual mandate model, which had been developed by the Heritage Foundation and tested by Mitt Romney in Massachusetts. It was technically feasible. Obama and Nancy Pelosi acted as the entrepreneurs, coupling these streams to force the bill through a very tight window before the political mood shifted in the 2010 midterms. If they had waited 6 more months, the window would have closed, and the ACA would likely never have passed. To wrap up Lesson 1, Kingdon teaches us that being right is not enough. You can have the perfect scientific solution to a public health crisis, but if the politics aren't right, or the public doesn't perceive the problem, your idea will die in the soup. As future health policy leaders, your job is to be policy entrepreneurs. You must have your solutions ready, vetted, and technically sound. And then you must watch the horizon like a hawk, waiting for the window to open. When it does, you must be ready to couple the streams. In the next lesson, we will look at a more structured guide for doing the actual analysis once that window opens. Eugene Bardach's Eightfold Path.